Welcome everyone to another episode of Ever Wonder TV, the place where all your wondering thoughts get answered. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and remember to hit that notification bell to stay updated on all our latest content. In today's video, we are going to take a look at history's most destructive volcano eruptions. Are you ready? Let's get started. Active volcanoes throughout the planet. Before starting and getting into the details of the deadliest volcanic eruptions ever, it is important to know about the number of active volcanoes around the globe. It's impossible to say how many volcanoes there are. It also depends on how a volcano is defined. For example, volcanic fields can consist of hundreds of distinct eruption centers, such as Cinder Cones, Mars, and Shield Volcanoes, all of which are connected to the same magma chamber and may or may not be considered a single volcano. There have most likely been millions of active volcanoes throughout the Earth's history. There are around 1,500 volcanoes on land that have been active in the last 10,000 years, with an even higher number of undersea volcanoes unknown. There are over 600 volcanoes that have had known eruptions during recorded history, with approximately 50 to 70 volcanoes erupting each year. Where are the different types of volcanoes, and where are they located? Geologists generally group volcanoes into four main kinds: cinder cones, composite volcanoes, shield volcanoes, and lava domes. Number 1. Cinder cones. The most basic type of volcano is a cinder cone. They're made up of congealed lava particles and blobs released from a single vent. The gas-charged lava is violently pushed into the air, breaking into minute particles that harden and fall as cinders surrounding the vent, forming a circular or oval cone. The apex of most cinder cones has a bowl-shaped crater, and they rarely rise higher than 1,000 feet above their surroundings. Cinder cones can be found in abundance in western North America, as well as other volcanic regions throughout the world. Number 2. Composite volcanoes. Compound volcanoes, also known as stratovolcanoes, are responsible for some of the world's most majestic mountains. They are massive, steep-sided, symmetrical cones made of alternating layers of lava flows, volcanic ash, cinders, stones, and bombs that can rise up to 8,000 feet above the ground. Mount Fuji in Japan, Mount Cotopaxi in Ecuador, Mount Shasta in California, Mount Hood in Oregon, and Mount St. Helens and Mount Rainier in Washington are just a few of the world's most visible and majestic mountains. Number 3. Shield volcanoes. The third type of volcano, shield volcanoes, are virtually entirely made up of fluid lava flows. Flow after flow flows out in all directions from a central summit vent or set of vents, forming a broad, gently sloping domical cone with a profile resembling a warrior's shield. They are slowly built up by the accumulation of thousands of extremely fluid lava flows known as basalt lava, which spread widely across large distances before cooling as thin, gently dipping sheets. Lavas frequently erupt from vents along fractures or rift zones that form on the cone's flanks. Shield volcanoes are among the world's largest volcanoes. Many shield volcanoes in Northern California and Oregon have diameters of 3 to 4 miles and heights of 1,500 to 2,000 feet. Kilauea and Mauna Loa on the island of Hawaii are two of the world's most active volcanoes, and the Hawaiian Islands are made up of linear chains of volcanic volcanoes. At the bases of the islands, the ocean floor is almost 15,000 feet deep. Mauna Loa, the greatest shield volcano and the world's largest active volcano, rises 13,677 feet above sea level and rises over 28,000 feet above the deep ocean floor. Number 4. Lava domes. Volcanic or lava domes are formed by small bulbous chunks of lava that are too viscous to flow a long distance. As a result, the lava builds up over and around the vent during extrusion. The majority of a dome's growth occurs from within. Its exterior surface hardens and cools as it expands, then shatters, sending loose shards down its sides. Over the volcanic vent, some domes create rugged knobs or spines, while others form short, steep-sided lava flows known as coulees. Within the craters or on the flanks of massive composite volcanoes, volcanic domes are common. The nearly circular Nova Rupta Dome, created during the 1912 eruption of Alaska's Katmai volcano, is 800 feet wide and 200 feet tall. The internal structure of this dome, which is marked by layers of lava fanning upward and outward from the center, suggests that it grew mostly by internal expansion. Underwater volcanoes and the Ring of Fire. According to scientists, the ocean is home to 80% of the world's volcanic eruptions. The majority of these volcanoes are tens of thousands of feet deep and extremely difficult to locate. The West Mata volcano was discovered over 4,000 feet beneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean between Samoa, Fiji, and Tonga. The molten rock outbursts were magnificent. This volcano was releasing bonanite lavas, which are among the hottest on the planet. When it comes to underwater volcanoes, it's also vital to consider the Ring of Fire. The Ring of Fire, also known as the Circum-Pacific Belt, is a belt of active volcanoes and frequent earthquakes that runs along the Pacific Ocean. The Ring of Fire is home to the bulk of the world's volcanoes and earthquakes. It stretches for almost 40,000 kilometers. The Pacific, Juan de Fuca, Cocos, Indian Australia, Nazca, North American, and Philippine plates are among the tectonic plates it traces. The Ring of Fire is home to more than 450 volcanoes, accounting for 75% of the world's volcanoes. 90% of Earth's earthquakes, including the planet's most severe and dramatic seismic episodes, happen along its course. Aside from continuous bands of volcanoes on the ocean floor, the world's 1,500 potentially active volcanoes are located at spreading centers like the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. In historical times, about 500 of the 1,500 volcanoes have erupted. The Ring of Fire, which runs along the Pacific Rim, is home to several of them. The ring includes volcanoes in the Cascade Range and Alaska in the United States, as well as Hawaiian volcanoes that form over a hot spot in the ring's center. The most destructive volcanic eruptions. Since the late 1700s, volcanoes have caused more than 250,000 deaths. Most of these occurred during 4 disastrous eruptions. The greatest of the 4 occurred on Mount Tambora in Sumbawa Island, which is now part of Indonesia, on April 10th to 11th, 1815. Plinian ash clouds and pyroclastic flows ejected 50 cubic kilometers of magma. More than 500,000 square kilometers of Indonesia and the Java Sea were covered in ash layers greater than 1 centimeter thick. Tambora was a stratovolcano with a height of 4,300 meters before the eruption. After the eruption, roughly 1,400 meters of the summit cone were lost, leaving a 6 by 7 kilometer wide and 1 kilometer deep crater in its place. The explosive eruption and tsunamis triggered by enormous pyroclastic flows entering the sea killed almost 10,000 people. Agricultural losses from the thick ash deposits resulted in famine and disease, leading to an additional 82,000 deaths. Indonesia was also home to the second largest eruption of the 19th century. On August 26 to 27, 1883, Krakatoa, a composite volcano and a small uninhabited island between Sumatra and Java, erupted explosively. The eruption was smaller than Tambora's, with roughly 18 cubic kilometers of magma erupting in Plinian ash clouds and pyroclastic flows. Krakatoa was a smaller volcano than Tambora, and it collapsed to produce a caldera that was partly below sea level when the eruption drained part of its magma chamber. 23 square kilometers of the island vanished, and where a 450-meter-high volcanic peak formerly stood, there was water up to 275 meters deep. The largest explosion, which occurred on the morning of August 27th, generated an ash cloud that rose to a height of 80 kilometers and was heard as far away as Australia. Following the explosion and apparent caldera collapse, a tsunami of about 30 meters hit the nearby Java and Sumatra coasts, killing over 36,000 people. Mount Pelée, a stratovolcano on the island of Martinique in the Caribbean Sea, erupted violently on May 8, 1902. Despite the fact that only around 1 cubic kilometer of magma erupted, much of it produced a high-velocity pyroclastic flow that flowed down a steep slope to the port of St. Pierre. Within minutes, the town and nearly all of its residents, a total of 29,000 people, were engulfed in flames. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest videos.